I met a gypsy.
Like, people fucking love him.
What, Levi's?
Yeah.
I listened to it.
Oh, you did?
I love Levi.
He's
I
insanely
never
cool.
met him, but I'm a fan.
Yeah, it's cool. I just love that we're entering the era of the sport where 250 dudes can kind of have a personality.
I mean, I feel like the 250s used to be like that. Like, we used to have, like, I'm thinking, like, 04 when it was, like,
Josh
Walker. Grant was the first one I
Yeah.
was going to say was Grant, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, that time period. Like, Alessi, Tedesco.
Yeah.
That's kind of, like, what I feel like it is sort of now. But it's really cool that everyone's really young, too. Because even back then, we had, like, Mike Brown and, like, a couple vet dudes. It's really cool that the 250 class right now is, like, straight up kids that are coming through.
Yeah, well, I think that's when you said those names, I was like, well, that probably makes sense why we kind of went through the phase of not having the personalities, because as soon as you change that age rule, because AC said it when he was on the podcast, he's like, man, until you're on a 450 and you've like won a championship and you've won a bunch of races, you just kind of feel like a fucking kook. And, you know, and you don't feel...
Yeah, you're insecure and, like, you don't even want to, like,
you're not
have a
25 yet.
Because, well, you know, I mean, even, like, I don't like doing podcasts, really. Like, I've started, like, my little tour this month. I'm going to do a few.
Yeah.
But I've always stayed away from podcasts just because, I mean, it's just, you're going to get, like, you get into trouble. Like, and people, and yeah, like, we say, like, oh, you want a personality and stuff, but companies get mad. And, like, I know it'd be easy for me to say something stupid and, like, mess it. So, like, I've always kind of not even wanted to deal with it. But we are finally now to a point where it's starting to be more like even like Levi said some stuff in that podcast. And I was like, dude, I wouldn't have said that if I was him. So even when I came to do this, I was like, man, like, maybe it is okay to kind of actually open up a little bit and be kind of honest, because I think we are in a time where it is a little more appreciated, or it's very needed in a very fake world that we live in right now. So it's nice to have some authenticity here and there. But yeah, I mean, it's cool that the sport's kind of coming around to that. I'm trying to get open to it too. But
well, it's hard because, like, me and Levi actually have had a few conversations, like, before we did the podcast too, you know, and, like, even this year, like, I knew he was just over the Deegan thing at Star, you know, like, and I think everyone does, but, like, he doesn't want to say that, like, I was just kind of over it, like, that sucks. But so I'd be saying it to him in the press conference, and I'm like, bro, say after the press conference, I'd message him, and I'm like, dude, just fucking just say it, you know. And he's like, because it brings attention, and it brings and when you've got a job to do, and when you've got a team, and sometimes the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
And I bet you he probably doesn't care that much.
Yeah.
So like, and that's like me too. Like when they have this stuff I could talk about that like makes me mad, like, do I really care that much?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, but you want to be honest and like, yeah, that's tough.
But
he probably doesn't care that much. That's probably why he doesn't really say like, he's probably not like, you know, has a grudge towards him, really. He's probably, this is just the situation, and it was a lame situation, and whatever. Like, that's just how it is. There's no point in, like, being really mad at the guy. But.
No, but what's cool is, well, I guess from that fan's perspective, is, like, it's tea. It's drama.
Yeah.
It's, you know, so, like...
I've enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, you're like...
and he's handled it good.
Yeah, and you're feeding that. Like, so you've got to have a level of, like, knowing that you're playing the game.
For sure.
And then, you know, I think that with myself. Like, there's stuff that I know I'm playing the game. I know those guys probably don't want to talk about this, or I know, but that's what you've got to give people. You've got to create stories. You've got to build. And if it's actually there, you know, it's not fake.
Yeah.
But you kind of hamming it up a little bit, because it's like it gives people something to.
For sure.
So there is like a balance to walk there. But I just think it's cool that we're kind of getting. Also, too, it's not just the drama that's cool. Like, he's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like, just as a dude.
Yeah.
You know,
he's not, you don't have to, like, throw people under the bus to get drama, really.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't always have to be, like, negative or, like, against someone, or it's just
talking about
stuff.
fishing, and, like, I called in sick to go and ride the start.
That's
dude,
funny.
Dope as
I wouldn't
fuck.
have said that. Because I'd be like, well, what if a team hears that? No, like, I mean, no. It's a cool story.
It was like the best story.
It's sick. That's what made it worth watching to me.
Yeah. And so, but again, you know, you've got to be like comfortable to put yourself out there in that way, which like isn't always the easiest thing to do.
Especially if you're a racer, because there's a lot more of that, like needing that ego. And luckily I'm kind of in an avenue where it's not, I'm a very competitive person, but I'm trying really hard not to be and not let that into this thing that I'm doing, because there's really no place for it in free riding, really. Like in the avenue I'm trying to pick, like competition really shouldn't be a thing, but I'm a very competitive person, so trying to let go of that a little bit too has been something I've been working on, kind of.
Yeah, and
Because it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. It's about me. What are you doing? You know?
yeah, and I think too, like even to be the racer ego, right? Like I know a lot of people that race,
Yeah.
in all different disciplines, and the people that I know that are the most successful have like this crazy ego about competition, and then they almost have the least amount of ego once they step inside the truck or that they're under the semi. Then it's like they're just a worker bee that works for the team.
I think that's kind of the mindset you have to have. Like, and like even for me at X, like I just keep, as soon as I start getting worked up about competition, someone else, anything, I'm just like, dude, at the end of the day, all that matters is when you turn around and you're about to go hit that ramp, you do the whip that you need to do that you've been working on for months. Like at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Nothing else matters. It's not about someone else. It's not about, it's just the best you can do. Like, so, and I mean, in racing, you're actually battling the guy and you're having to get in the dude's head and you're having to mentally beat him. Like, I don't really have to worry about that, but that definitely makes it tougher for like those dudes. And that would be tough for me to want to go out and like say a bunch of stuff too, because I'm always thinking about what the competitor's hearing. Like I did swap moto the other day, and I even said, I almost stopped myself. I started talking about like kind of what I was going to do at X, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't say this. Like, I should keep something to myself, because I'm always really open to like posting. Like I could have just sat on that on this crazy whip.
Dude,
whip
imagine
stuff.
if you did.
Well, that's not what I'm paid to do.
Yeah,
I get paid by like Fast House and Heatwave to make content and be out there. So I could have just sat on it, wait till X games, but I don't really ever do that. Like there's a couple things I'm holding on to, but not much. I'm pretty open. So
if you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.